you're a first-time homebuyer and you haven't heard of First National, you're not alone, but you probably should have. Because while the big banks get all the attention, First National has quietly become one of the largest mortgage lenders in Canada. And honestly, they might just be a better option for a lot of first-time homebuyers than going to the bank. So in this video, I'm going to break down who is First National, what makes them different from the big banks, the pros and cons of working with them, and how they stack up against other lenders like MCAP that are mortgage finance lenders only. By the end, you'll know whether First National could be the right fit for your first home purchase. So what is First National? Well, they're called a monoline lender, which simply means they focus 100% on mortgages and nothing else. So no checking accounts, no credit cards, no upselling. They're one of Canada's biggest non-bank lenders, and they're actually the largest monoline lender in the country. Now, they've been around since 1988, they're publicly traded, and they follow a lot of the same regulations and rules as the big banks. Now, unlike a bank, you can't walk into First National because there aren't any. They work exclusively through mortgage brokers, which helps them keep their overhead low, and that's one of the reasons why they can offer very competitive rates. First National does a lot of insured mortgages, meaning deals with less than 20% down, which is the exact situation that most first-time homebuyers are in. They specialize in this space and they understand how to structure these files efficiently, and they're used to working closely with mortgage insurers like CMHC, Sagan, and Canada Guarantee. So if you're a first-time homebuyer who needs to maximize your borrowing power, First National is a name worth knowing. Let's talk about the flexibility, because this is where First National really shines. Banks tend to work off rigid checklists, whereas if your file doesn't fit perfectly, then they're just going to decline it. First National, on the other hand, they look at ways to make it work. Their underwriters are used to seeing unique situations. Maybe your income is partly from overtime, or you're getting a gifted down payment from family. Maybe you're self-employed and you have a lot of write-off expenses. With a bank, that could be a dead end. But with a lender like First National, there's more room for common sense approvals. They even have an alternative lending arm called Excalibur, designed for borrowers who don't quite fit the traditional mold. So they're not just for the A side, but they've also got options for people working towards the A side as well. Now let's talk rates and penalties, because these are two areas where monoline lenders often outperform the banks. Since First National doesn't have branches or a big marketing budget like the other banks do, their overhead is very low, which means they can often offer the same or even better rates than the big banks for comparable products. But where they really stand out is their penalties. Even if you break a fixed rate mortgage early, maybe you move or refinance or need to make a change, banks calculate their penalties based on the posted rate, which means the penalty is going to be 3 times higher than it would if you went with First National, who doesn't play that game. Their penalties are based on the actual market rates, which usually make them much more fair and often thousands of dollars cheaper. So if you value flexibility, this is a huge deal. You'll thank yourself later if life changes and you ever need to break your mortgage early. Now let's look at the prepayment options, because being able to pay your mortgage down faster without a penalty is key. First National allows you to make lump sum payments of up to 15% per year and also increase your regular payments up to 15% annually. On top of that, you can actually double up your regular payment anytime, and all that extra funds goes directly towards paying down your principal. Those are some of the most flexible prepayment options on the market. Many banks only offer 10 to 15% on lump sums, and some of them don't even allow you to double up your payment. So whether you want to throw your tax return towards your mortgage or start paying bi-weekly instead of monthly, First National makes it super easy. When it comes to qualifying for a mortgage, First National follows the same basic rules as every other lender. Same stress tests, same government ratios. But here's where they differ. They apply common sense. If you're earning overtime, bonus, income, or commission income, they'll often include it if there's history of consistency. If you've just started a new job but your overall profile is strong, they'll often accept it with a letter of employment and pay stub, even if you're technically still on probation. They're also great for self-employed borrowers who can use income verification programs that allow for more flexible qualification than the bank would. So while they're still very compliant, they're not robotic. That balance between structure and flexibility is what makes them one of the most valuable lenders today on the market. Let's talk about refinancing and porting, because you might not be a first-time homebuyer forever. If you ever need to refinance, First National absolutely allows it. They'll go up to 80% of the home's value just like any other bank. And if it comes to porting your mortgage, meaning moving it to a new property, they're just as flexible as anyone else. They typically give you 30 to 60 days to complete that port, and you can even increase the mortgage amount if needed, usually at a blended rate if you need more funds. Another big plus is First National uses a standard charge, not a collateral charge, which means it's easier to switch lenders later if you want to shop around. Many banks use collateral charges, which can make leaving them more expensive because you got to get a lawyer to actually discharge the old mortgage. So again, more flexibility, less restriction. All right, let's talk about the service, because good rates mean nothing if your experience is absolutely painful. Even though First National doesn't have branches, their service is known for being efficient and responsive. They have an online portal called My Mortgage where you can review your balance, make extra payments, or even test out what-if scenarios to see how paying a little bit more towards your mortgage would save you in interest. And because you still have a mortgage broker as your point of contact, you're getting personalized support plus a dedicated lending team, no longer hold times at the bank or booking appointments. A lot of brokers consistently rate First National among the top lenders in Canada for reliability, efficiency, and ease of funding. They're a lot easier to work with. They close deals on time and they take care of their clients. Now, of course, no lender is absolutely perfect. So here are a few things to keep in mind if you end up going with First National. Number one is there's no branches. So if you someone who likes to walk into the branch to talk to someone in person, that's not going to be an option here. Everything's handled online or through your broker. Number two would be no checking accounts or home equity line of credits. They're mortgages only. So if you want a home equity line of credit in the future, you'll need to go to a different bank. But if you're getting an insured mortgage, you can't qualify for one anyways. Three would be slightly higher rates on the uninsured products, so the more than 20% down. Their bread and butter is the insured mortgages, less than 20% down, and therefore they delegate a lot of their fund towards that. Anything uninsured, their rates are going to be slightly higher. So is First National the right lender for your first home? Well, if you want a competitive rate, reasonable penalties, flexible qualification, and a smooth experience, then yes, absolutely consider them. They're one of the few lenders that truly combine great pricing with practical flexibility, and that's why mortgage brokers love them. And remember, you can't get First National by walking into a bank. You have to access them through a mortgage broker. If you want to find out whether First National is the right fit for your situation, I'd love to help. My name's Jarrett White. I run a mortgage team here in BC called White Ridge Mortgage. There'll be a link in the description to book a call. We'd be happy to have a chat about your situation. It's 100% free and guide you in the right direction for making that home purchase a reality. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.